Welcome to Balancing Act, Balancing Money, Life, and Time with Linda Wilson. How you doing, Linda?
Doing great. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing excellent. My name is Sam McEwen. We want to talk about your health, and what we want to talk about is making your health a priority. And Linda, we're both been around the block a few times, and we've both had health struggles. We've had family members who've had health struggles. And it's funny, when we were younger, we didn't think about that so much. We didn't think about staying in shape. We did because I can look back on some pictures not that long ago. I was in pretty good shape.
Not anymore. I think when we're younger, we, like in your teens and your 20s, that's all you see is your whole life ahead of you, and you don't worry about those things because
right.
At that time, everything's wonderful. You hit your 30s, you start having family or other things, and you start seeing other people maybe having, your parents or your grandparents starting to have health struggles, and you think, but that's not me.
Yeah. Right. That's not me. Yeah.
That's not me. I'm physically fit. I do this and this. And then the 40s roll around, and maybe not so much now as it was when we were younger, but 40 used to be like, oh my gosh, you're just so old.
Right.
And now 40 is midlife.
Yeah.
Barely. And our kids, when you're in your 40s, your kids are older a little bit. It's not the babies running around the house so much. And but that's when you start, maybe, if you're doing your extra, you're doing your after work sports and all those kind of things. Sometimes the next morning when you wake up, a little stiff.
Yeah.
I think I think I started saying "oi" in the morning a lot in my 40s.
Yep.
Oi, I gotta stand up. Oi, I gotta get out of bed.
Yep.
And then in your 50s, other things show up, and in your 60s and 70s. And I think for us, it wasn't such a surprise. My husband started having, he had most of his colon removed when he was 30. And because it's hereditary, we knew what to watch for in our son.
Mm-hmm.
And our son had his entire colon removed when he was 11. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons he chose not to father children, is because they told him any kids he fathered, we would need to be watching them from birth on.
Oh, wow.
Because not only did it carry from generation to generation, but it showed up earlier and was progressively more serious. Mm-hmm. And so we were looking, and there's lots of families that their kids have issues, but for the most part, most of us are pretty healthy until we hit our 40s and 50s. And then we're not used to having to take care of ourselves. We did it because it was fun, or it was just part of what we did. And now it turns into, I need to go to the gym, or I need to watch what I eat. Mm-hmm.
And you have a lifetime of habits that you're trying to break.
Yeah.
I talked to a good friend of mine today, actually, and she is an organ donor, and she donated a kidney. And when she got out, when everything was all said and done and everything, she'd lost quite a bit of weight.
Mm-hmm. But
now she's eating that bowl of ice cream every night before she goes to bed. Well, you can't do that, not and continue to maintain the weight. There's an old automobile commercial, and I have to find it somewhere. I know it's got to be out there, but the guy comes on and he's talking about maintenance items like brakes and oil changes and stuff like that. And he says, you can pay me now.
Oh, yeah.
Pay me later.
Right. Yes.
And so that's what it boils down to, when you're in your 20s and 30s, you don't have care, if you have children, you're keeping up with them. Yeah,
Mhm.
they'll run the pounds off of you, right?
Oh yeah.
But when you get to be a little bit older, more mature, I don't want to, we don't want to use ageism here, right? But yeah, anyway, we don't try to be politically correct, folks, but we'll do the best we can um,
I can
to
say
bring
older
you.
because I am older.
Yeah, yeah, I can do that too. So, but it becomes definitely harder. You know, I remember even into my 40s and early 50s, I was umpiring softball and
Mhm.
baseball, and then I let it go. I quit doing it. I've gained a little bit of weight, and now the struggle to lose it. I'm sorry, folks, it's tough. So if you let it go and you don't, you're paying later. You know, it'll take me a lot longer to lose the weight that I desire to lose than it would have even 10 years ago.
Right. And part of that is just knowing your body,
Yes, yes.
especially for women. When we start hitting menopause and around that age and older, and even a little bit before that, when we just try to cut out calories or stop eating, our body goes into starvation mode.
Yeah, yeah,
And so you can't shed the pounds that way because your body thinks something is wrong and it's storing the calories and the energy that you would need if you were in a situation where you had no food.
yeah. Right, right.
And that's that's a physiological thing. That's not a mental thing. So learning how to watch what you eat and pick the right things. Now, I actually used to have a weight problem and I worked very hard to keep it off. I was very active. Um, but like in high school, I was big. And then after I had Randy, I was a gym rat. Oh my God, I lived at
Yeah.
the gym and I loved it. Now, I could certainly, there's a gym not a mile from my house that I have free membership to
Right.
because it's part of the rec center in Denver. And I could easily be a gym rat. I no longer have the desire.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if that maybe it's because of all the things I've already put my body through. I figure I'm still here.
Yeah, right, right.
And I never thought I would get to this weight again. So I'm not panicking because I mean I'm 5'8" and I got down to 109 pounds.
Okay.
And that is not a healthy weight.
No.
Uh, I was lucky to be alive because of the illness I had, but it took me right now I'm around 140, but it took me about 3 years to put that back on.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do not watch what I eat. Don't hate me. My body burns it. I've always had a high
Yeah,
metabolism.
yeah.
And that did not change with all the things my body went through. But I also found at the time when I was trying to be more conscious what I ate, that very much was a mindset.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I never used the D word, diet,
Yeah, yeah.
because diet, when I was growing up, meant you were denying yourself
Yes,
things.
yes. Yeah, and
And
that's not what it is really.
no, it's just being conscious of what you put into your body.
Right.
But and my dad was on diets all the time and he was miserable because he was
Yeah,
always
yeah.
trying to lose the weight. And, once he quit smoking, and that's a tough one. He did
That
something
is,
healthy
that is.
for his body and he gained so much weight that it was no longer healthy again. And
Right, right.
so our body goes back and forth and we
Mhm.
need to pay attention, number one, to what's your body telling you.
Right. Yes.
Don't ignore things that your body is telling you.
Right.
You're not a hypochondriac if you think something's going on. Most healthcare systems now have the ability where you can just send a note to your doctor and say, this is going on. What do you think?
Right, right.
Instead of, either going in for every little thing, they can tell you what to watch for to see if you need to worry about it, if it gets worse.
Yep.
Or ignoring it to the point where it's an emergency room visit.
Yeah, exactly. And then
That's
cost
costly.
multiplies. Then you're
Well,
really paying later.
And it's really costly, number one. And number two, it's harder on your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you haven't been a patient in an emergency room lately in the last couple of years, it's not what you're used to.
No, it's stressful.
It's extremely stressful, not just for the patient, but for the staff. They, most of them are understaffed, or at times are understaffed, because people ignore what their body's telling them until it's an emergency. Things in the ER are much more high stress situation for everybody involved. I can tell you, I would much rather go see my primary care in the office,
right,
than see the emergency room doctor who doesn't know me. They
Right.
do everything they can for me, but there's no such thing as a quick visit to the ER.
No, not at all. You look several hours. You know, all the things that you're talking about reminds me of James Allen, his book, As a Man Thinketh, because he has a chapter in there that says effective thought on health and the body. And the very first line is something that we really need to take notice of in this chapter, and that is, the body is the servant of the mind. And all too often, you know, if we can think, people take this wrong, but if we can think the good, healthy thoughts, if we can think the pleasant thoughts, instead of allowing our mind to go into a degradation, or into, for lack of a better term, sinful or nasty thoughts, we're going to be in a better place. And our body is going to follow that. Our body's going to follow our mind, regardless of what we put in. In the second paragraph in this chapter, it says, disease and health, like circumstances, are rooted in thought. Sickly thoughts will express themselves in a sickly body. So if we're thinking, and depression is real. So if you're having, if you're having those thoughts and you're depressed, then you need to get help. Because with depression comes disease and illness, right?
Most definitely. And not just bodily disease and illness, but mental disease and illness. Depression can be helped.
Yep.
And don't let it get so bad that you think you can't be helped.
There's all sorts of help out there too. I mean, and to not get the help that you need or that you want, there's all sorts of help out there. There's all sorts of helplines for depression, for mental health, mental disease. Go talk to somebody, right? But barring the mental illness side of it, if we have, you know, James Allen talks about strong, pure, and happy thoughts will build the body up in vigor and grace. The body is delicate and a plastic instrument which responds readily to thoughts. And those thoughts can produce good habits.
Yes.
And so I would encourage y'all, if you're struggling with weight, I struggle with weight. The doctor wants me down to a certain 190 is what he wants me at by the first of the year. Okay. So I have a few pounds to lose. I've never been a gym rat like you. I don't like them. I don't like them. I went for a little while. I had a personal trainer, and the guy was great, but we had more political discussions than we did. He's from Ireland, and you know, but I did begin to get some flexibility back and things like that. And the older you get, that's one of the biggest issues you have. A balance is one, flexibility is the other. And those are the things that we really need to pay attention to as we get older, because those will cause us more trouble than anything else. You know, if you
that leads to other problems, that leads to injuries. Could end you up in the hospital, into a rehab center or a nursing home.
Yeah. And so we just need to do the little things. And we're not health experts here. We're not telling you, we're not giving you an exercise program or anything like that. But there's a lot of help out there. You talked about diets. I have a guy by the name of Brian Harner wrote a book called Diet Rebel. and you can get it on Amazon. And if you buy it, drop a note to Brian that we mentioned it here on the Balancing Act. But he breaks a lot of the myths about diets, and it's not a diet book. I'm telling you, it's not a diet book, but it's a healthy lifestyle, healthy living book, and we all have to do it for ourselves. I'm not a gym rat, so I have to. I've started riding my bike and walking in the morning. Those are the two things that I know that I can do, even though I don't really want to, right? And I used to ride all the time when I lived in Jackson Hole. I mean, we put anywhere from 15 to 25 miles a night on, and that wasn't that long ago.
And that's a beautiful area.
Yeah, I know. It was a little while ago. So it was a few years ago. Now that I think about it, but you're right. It was a beautiful place to ride. But where I live in Florida, there's so much scenery, so much, and don't have the hills that we had in Jackson,
or the altitude.
Yeah, or the altitude, exactly. But we would go out to the elk refuge and stuff like that, and George and I would ride, and I was probably at that time in my life in some of the best shape that I'd ever been. Mm-hmm. And so to get back to that, what do I have to do? I have to get back to doing those things. Maybe not on that level, just because definitely not on that level today.
Right.
But in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, yeah, okay, I can be back up to 15 miles a day or 15 miles every other day or whatever.
It's a slow progression. That's the other thing. And if you start any kind of meal or exercise plan, let your doctor know what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Because they should know everything that goes on with you.
Right.
With your body.
Oh, always.
Because I mean, my husband in his early 40s, he used to run all the time, and he thought he had a shin splint. Well, he had actually cracked the bone. And he ran on it like that for 2 weeks because he just thought it was a shin splint.
Wow.
And he finally said, okay, I need to go in and have it checked. And they said, well, you've cracked it's a hairline fracture, but we don't want you to run for 6 weeks. We want that to heal. And they didn't even want him to put weight on it for 3 weeks. And this is after he'd been running on it all this time.
Yeah.
And that just, he was like, but you can be very young and have those kind of injuries. You just need to, when things feel different in your body than you're used to, and if it happens for more than 24 to 48 hours, don't ignore it.
Yeah, don't ignore it. No, there's so much health professionals out there. Always consult. I usually go, I consult 2 people, my primary care, which I just changed over and found a wonderful primary care doctor. Matter of fact, was there today. And to my chiropractor.
Yeah.
Because my chiropractor, he knows my spine, he knows my hips. I have issues there. And so consult your physicians, consult the people who are professionals about that, let them know, and then pay attention to all the other signals that your body's giving you, and when you, and this is something, that with the whole mind thing, when you get into some sort of good routine and you're wanting to be physically in better shape, and if your mind is going to that place, your body will follow. Your body will follow. I used to, when I would go to the gym, I never really went with the thought, man, I'm going to enjoy this. And so I probably didn't have the success that I probably could have. Even though I went and I put the hard work in, my mind wasn't in it.
Well,
but now, I had some health issues in the last year or two, and I want to be past that. And I want to be around when all my grandkids are growing up. And so my mind is now in a much better place. And so I know that I'll be more successful going forward. Yeah.
And so looks like we're coming up on the end of our time. I just wanted to remind you all, if you have any issues you're working on, anything you want to get some feedback on, Sam and I would love to do a complimentary strategy session with you. The link is here in the banner, and you can get a hold of us that way. And we'd just love to hear what you're working on and see how we can assist.
Yep. Let us know how you can help you. Linda, it's been interesting today talking about health and some young people out there are probably laughing at us.
They probably are, but you know what? I was your age once.
Yeah, me too. So,
and I know from what I talk. So,
yep. So remember, you can't balance your work life, time, money, but you can live in harmony.
Yes, you can.
Live in perfect harmony, right?
And that's way more important.
Yep. So Linda, it's been wonderful today. We'll see you on the next side.
All right.
Take care and be blessed.
You too. See you next time, everyone.